after having a lovely travel around South Africa and visiting other parts of the country, it was a wonderful experience being there in spite of the politics. I learnt a lot. Decided to go back to the UK and got a job at Cheyne Walk, Chelsea, Centre for Spastic Children. That's what it was called. And I was a visiting therapist as well. And on my car I had Cheyne Walk, Centre for Spastic Children all over it. Now this was the beginning of really learning more, because I was working with people who actually did understand children with cerebral palsy and were very good. Noreen here was an English physio who was very sweet person. I can't describe her in any way. She was delightful, very sweet and very knowledgeable, and taught us a lot about working with these children. Sophie Levitt, who has written books on the treatment of children with cerebral palsy, much more eclectic sort of person, also was had an academic post, but she was on the staff. Very, very good people to work with, and that was wonderful. But while I was there, it was obvious Noreen had done a Bobath course. It was obvious that if you're in that area of work, you really want to do a Bobath course. So I rang up the centre and asked when I could get on the list for doing the course, and they said there's a 4-year waiting list, which wasn't very pleasing at all. And so I got myself on the list, and I eventually, in my flatting situation, found myself that I met Judy Murray, who was an occupational therapist at the Bobath Centre, and she said, look, why don't you just go along one day when they have an intake, and they'll really know that you're keen. So I took her advice, and on the first day of a new intake of this postgraduate 8-week course, which is what a Bobath course is, at the Bobath Centre in Hampstead, London, I lined the wall feeling ridiculously stupid while all these new recruits for the course filed past me, and I was just in the corridor propping up the wall where they all went and sat down. So I went to the office and I said, look, they understood I was there because I was making my point felt that if someone dropped out, I would be readily available to take their place at a short moment's notice. And actually, I was finally was in that position where they rang me up and said, after 18 months of waiting, instead of 4 years, that there was a vacancy had just come up, and they realised I was very keen and would I like to do the course. I was given the Cheyne Walk said, you've already worked for us for 2 years or more. We will pay for your course fees, and they did, and I did the 8-week course. But then at the end of the course, Jenny Bryce, who is one of the most influential people that I've had to work with in my life, asked me if I would like to work there and stay. And I went back to Noreen here at Cheyne Walk, because I had worked there 2 years, and I said, well, you paid for me to do the course. And she again said, you had given us 2 years, Kate. We're very happy with that. And if you'd like to take the position at the Bobath Centre, go for it. So I said to Jenny, yes, I'd love to come and work at the Bobath Centre. And it was wonderful. That was absolutely wonderful. Dr. and Mrs. Bobath were alive and well. We used to have great discussions in the staff room. The staff was multinational, from Israel, from the UK. Oh, that's not international, but there were other people from Greece working there. And the children used to come in, and we would assess and treat them. And because Jenny, for example, was such a wonderful mentor to me, I learned heaps from her and was so in admiration of how she worked with the children and what she got from them to helping them. So that was really became my focus. And partway through that year, they asked me if I'd like to do a second course, because they said that I would I like to teach, and that they would like to train me up. So I sat in again for another course, taking lectures and doing special little assignments to get my tutor certification. However, after just under a year, I had actually met someone in New Zealand who I thought was the romance of my life, and I after being in the UK for so many months, I decided that maybe I should return to New Zealand. And they reluctantly accepted my resignation, but said, well, Kate, you have the certification to lead courses in New Zealand. And so I went back to Dunedin, back to the physio school then, because this is where this band was, just out of Dunedin, and took a teaching job back at what was then Otago Polytechnic.